my lifetime, I saw Grandma every 3 to 5 years. I wish I could have spent more time with her so that I could have known who she was as a person. This film is my attempt to spend more time with Grandma in some form 12 years after her death. Grandma gave, in my opinion, she gave the best hugs. So that's one thing I definitely remember for sure. If you was gonna get a hug by Grandma, it was gonna be one of those where it would either, like, if you weren't ready, you would kind of lose your breath, like, oh, because it was gonna be tight, or it was, if you were ready for it, you were able to brace yourself for it, and it was gonna be awesome. My full name is Adrian Polly Mercy Newell. I was named after Grandma, just like she was named after her grandma, Polly Curtis. Since my grandmother always lived in another state, I just wanted to know who she was. Like, I just wanted to just sit up under her, talk to her, hang with her, do whatever, do stuff that you do with grandmas. Oh, I look just like Jason. Down there. Oh my God. Can you find Daddy in the picture? Diary Daddy, Uncle Trisha, Uncle Benny. I don't even know who you look like. Uncle Wayne. Ugly. Uncle Fred. But that's the only ugly picture I've ever seen you. Uncle Lawrence, Uncle Roger. That's Kenneth Douglas. Why wasn't it a priority for us to get to know who Grandma was?
Well, it couldn't be a priority because I was more concerned with paying the bills and having a life for you here. Traveling back there was an extra. It wasn't I was trying to isolate you from your grandmother. They live in a different part of the world.
Do you feel that we missed out on not knowing who your mother was?
I had never thought about it. When you met her, that's who she was. She was a grandparent to you, but she was a mother to me.
When I was little, I did not like the name Polly. I hated it because the only other Polly I knew was my grandmother, and of course, as being my grandmother, she's old. When I was little, I was like, no, don't call me that. Like, my name is Adrian. Do not call me that. As like a 7-year-old, no, Polly is not cool ever. Because of the shared name, Grandma has been a part of who I am since my earliest realization of self. She has also been that part of myself that I didn't really know. I decided now is a good time to get to know her. Mississippi is a place where the trees seem to outnumber the people, where the soil is fertile enough to grow cotton and also saturated in blood, where the oppression was once as stifling as the heat. Mississippi is also the environment that nurtured my family. My grandmother was born November 29th, 1929, in Hazelhurst, Mississippi. It is the place where she learned, grew, and loved.
Hey, man. How you doing? Oh, my goodness, girl, what you doing?
I got a recruit.
I see you did that. And I broke the camera already.
Before Grandma was Grandma, or even Mother, she met Isaac Newell as a teenager while picking cotton. They married on December 4th, 1948, in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, and soon started their family. What began as a family of two quickly became something more. I said, Grandma, did you always want 16 kids? And she told me, she said no. She originally wanted 4, and then the rest just kind of happened. The 4 were Thomas, David, Jean, and Ivory. And the rest? Johnny, Benny, Patricia, Billy Wayne, Frederick, Lawrence, Charlene, Roger, Annie, Douglas, Kenneth, and Randy. That's 5 girls and 11 boys for a total of 16. I said, Grandma, that's a lot of rest. And she just laughed.
I remember hearing my mom. She was really proud of her family. She was proud to tell people that she had 16 children and that she gave birth to 16 children. And to see her face light up whenever she would say, I have 16 children, It was just a joy to her.
One of the things I've always wanted to know was how my grandparents raised a family of such magnitude in a time when black people were struggling just to survive.
Mother was there to train, daddy was there to provide.
I looked up to Mom. I had a lot of respect for her. I thought she was a great mom. I mean, she took care of us. She was there from morning to night, whether it was cooking meals. You know, she was a homemaker.
My father, Mr. Isaac Newell, was a man of principle, a man of character, and a man that said what he meant and meant what he said.
My father worked. He was a truck driver. He worked on cars. He worked on it, fixed TVs, the electrical items. He did anything he could do to make a living.
It was pride for us to help us to know that you work for what you get. You don't walk around with no handout. You work for what you get. He worked at the box factory Friday, and we loved to go with Daddy. We loved to be around Daddy. And they would bring their kids around, and some of the other guys, even especially the white guys, they'd throw some change on the ground, throw some nickel dime, throw them on the ground. Black kids jump down. Daddy said, forever see y'all act like that. They can throw whatever, they can throw $1 down there. Y'all move off that car. You'll never move again. So he'd take us down there. And they'd throw money on the floor. You think we move? We ain't moved.
It was the way they raised us to let us know that we were important and we were important to each other.
The name of my grandmother has since become special as I have learned it belonged to a very special lady.
My mother, amazing lady. All I knew from her was love. From my early existence to the end.
Everybody I run into that knew Mom, they always said the same thing. That she was a sweet person. And to me, that spoke volumes about Mom. She would give you her last. If she had a dime, she'd give you a nickel. Even though she may have expected it back because it was her last, but she would give it to you. I don't know too many people who would do that.
I remember we killed hogs one year. And in the killing of the hogs, my mother would share some of the meat with the neighborhood. And I have always loved hog sausage. And she was giving them away. I said, why don't you give away the ham? Why don't you give away the head? Give away something else. She says, always give away that which you want. I didn't like her much for that. She was giving away what I liked. But there's a great lesson in that. You give away what you want, it comes back to you.
What is your strongest memory of your mother?
Her taking care of me when I would get sick. She would treat me like a baby. No matter how old I got, she took care of me.
What is one thing your mother taught you that has had a lasting impression?
Just to take care of people.
Grandma was very quiet. She didn't talk that much. But if she liked to laugh now. When everybody came around, she would laugh. When she laughed, her belly would jump.
Can I ask this, please? Can you do an imitation of Grandma's laugh?
I ain't never imitated her laugh. I know how to make my stomach jump because I got one. See, don't make me do it on the camera. Oh, I can't do that.
We went to school. We made it, and I had perfect attendance that year. And they called me up for perfect attendance and all, and went up and went across the stage. And they wanted everybody that had the parents to be there, have your parents to stand. And somebody in the family to stand up and recognize your parents. And everybody was standing there. That's my mama, Sally Brown, or whatever. That's my daddy, Willie Brown or Willie Robinson. And I stood up and I said, that's my mother, Mrs. Pollyanna Newell. And she stood up, boy, and she got home, she says, and she hugged me and told me, she said, you're the only one that stood up and said, Mrs. Pollyanna Newell. And she was so proud that I put some gravy on her name.
Ma wanted us to be grounded. She wanted us to have a sense of God. That's something, looking back, that was good. That was a good thing to do. That was her giving us something that was precious and priceless. She gave us God.
Mother always singing in the church, Daddy always teaching, and a deacon. We was at church. Faith is the root. David is a minister. Johnny, pastor. Benny, a pastor. Then there's me, a pastor. Kenneth, minister. Randy, a minister.
Faith is the glue that has bridged the generational gap. It began with my grandparents, was passed down to their children, and passed down to their grandchildren. In the process of making this film, I found a lot of pictures. And I found one where I was like, I like this picture of my grandparents. I don't know if my grandma was sitting on his lap or sitting on the chair, but she's got her arm around him and he's just kind of leaning into her. And they're like about 30 something. And I found that's my favorite picture. Because to me, it's kind of like my grandfather saying, like, you got me, Polly? And she's like, I got you. We about to do this thing together. So that's kind of how I want to remember them. Because by the time I came along, it was pretty much grandma was over here, grandpa was over there. Like, I never saw them together.
I can remember when I was little how Ma and Daddy would kind of play with each other, little teasing, little flirting. I can remember some of that back in the day. I'm going to say up until about 9 or 10, I can remember them, being kind. I don't know when the trouble started with them or not, but by the time we were 13, yeah, we really saw the tension. 15, by the time I was 15, it was over.
When we were growing up, we didn't know any of what from what I heard, what the younger ones experienced, the fussing and the bickering and all that. If they had a disagreement or dispute, it wasn't in front of us. I didn't ever know Mother and Daddy didn't fuss at all.
If I use the old term irreconcilable differences, it probably would sum it up more than anything. I know that there was considered to be some sense of outside relationships, but I take it that it wasn't just infidelity.
I didn't take that very well. She talked about it with everybody. It's like, Mom, stop. Mom was angry at why they had to break up. And Daddy was angry because he had to move on.
He wouldn't have left the house, he wouldn't have left his family, but the courts could make him get out of this house. So she took him to court.
I didn't like it. I didn't like my dad having to leave the home. Life changed because Daddy was gone. It was going to be different, and it was different.
We were the last two females in the house, so we did female things together. Her bedroom was across the hall from my bedroom. Like I said, we talked about everything. You would thought she was my sister instead of my mama. And I'm laying in the bed, she's laying in the bed, and we're talking, and it's like, Ma, I can't hear you. I'm coming in there with you. Mm-hmm. So ever since then, we started sleeping in the same bed together.
Oh, really?
Because we're just girlfriends laying there talking, you know. So that's what I mean when I say we got close. We're close in that why yell across the hallway when I just come in your room and talk, you know. So we got close in that sense. It got to the point where after everybody was out of the house, maybe except for Randy, she couldn't take care of the house anymore. No more child support was coming in. She went and got little odd jobs, but she still couldn't care for the house like she wanted to. And so I'm gonna say that was the biggest obstacle, was letting go of that house and moving to Minnesota. That was hard for her to do, but then she knew she had to do something, and that's what she did.
Grandma went to Minnesota because some of her children were there and offered her help. Like my grandmother, I followed the mighty Mississippi River and headed up north.
When she came, it was pretty much just a transition. She came, we got her moved into Revue, and from there, she pretty much had a pretty quiet life. I mean, a lot of, family interaction or family occasions.
One of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because everybody was like, two is close to grandma, and I'm like, I gotta talk to two, because two has something that I never had. This is like a senior citizen place, right? Cool. So you said you and grandma used to hang out here. So what was that like, just hanging out with grandma?
I come stay the night, like, we play dominoes, Uno, you know, she always makes some fresh batch of sweet tea. Mm-hmm. So it was just cool. It was cool. I love when she like smother some chicken and gravy with some rice.
Did she cook the same thing every time you came? Your favorite?
For the most part, yes.
Every time you came, it was rice, gravy?
Chicken, rice, and gravy.
Wow. No vegetables?
Yeah.
No vegetables. If you gotta think about it, it was no vegetables, like no vegetables.
Her body somewhat degraded over time to where she wasn't able to get out like she used to.
Say hi. Okay.
She had a stroke. So yeah, devastating. That was worse than the heart thing. Because from the heart thing, yeah, she had problems, but she was still functioning. Mm-hmm. She was still able to get up and do for herself and all that. After the stroke, I don't think she could do anything after that. That's when I thought we were gonna lose her. Mm-hmm. I was so close to her until I didn't know how to go on without her. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. But I thank God he prepared me. I think he prepared all of us for her not being here, because it was a process we went through.
The last time I saw my grandmother, I knew immediately that was going to be the last time I saw her alive. The pillar of strength I knew her to be was crumbling, and her small frame showed that she was literally wasting away. But I put those thoughts aside because I went to Mississippi to celebrate Grandma's 73rd birthday and not to think about her death.
In the end, when Ma got sick, you could see the love was still there. You could see Daddy asking questions, how's Mom? Mm-hmm. You know? But before then, you didn't hear a lot of that. But when she got sick,
when she was down the Irie, he would go over there. I would take him over there, and they would just sit there sometime. And if he's sitting there just rocking, she would always just get so happy when you get coming around and get so frigidated and you roll that chair in there, and she wanted to be there right that way. Mom, what's wrong with you? You act like a school girl.
Did they still love each other even after they separated?
I believe they did. I believe they did till the end.
Grandma, I came back for you. I spent a little time with as much as my Mississippi family as possible. I don't usually visit grave sites, but like I said, I came back for you. Grandma, you were my steel magnolia, my example of beauty simplified and strength personified. I will love you forever and then some on top of that. Thank you for my cheekbones, my legs, and my chocolate-covered strawberry lips. Thank you for Daddy and every single member of the family. I think you did an awesome job, and may you continue to rest forever in peace. So, rest well until I get there. I'll see you later, Grandma.
All right.